Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. We have a great one for you here today. We have Michael Stewart. He is with Ameriprise, a financial advisor, and, a little different than our day traders that we sometimes bring on here. We like to, provide retail traders with advice from all the different aspects of investing, from options and stocks and crypto and Forex to investing in 401k, self-directed or managed. And Michael, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, you're right. We are long-term investors. We help individuals. We help small businesses, any kind of business actually, with their long-term goals, whether that's retirement planning, college planning, a second home, or whatever the case may be. But that's what we try to do. And we've been doing this for several years. So
yeah, I have it on the screen. 34 years of experience. Yeah. Again, that's one of the things we love at Quasar. We're not bringing you the newest YouTube sensation that's out there giving you their tips, right, but people who have years and years of experience doing this. And, and I would ask with that, have you seen a big change in the last year, 2 years, as we've come out of COVID and sort of people, I think during COVID, people had a lot of spare time. So a lot of folks got much more educated on investing.
Yeah, we have seen a difference. But the interesting thing is, and I think probably what we have seen more is prior to COVID, there were a lot of do-it-yourselfers. There were a lot of people who did it on their own. They day traded or whatever the case may be. And I'm not sure if during COVID they had a bad experience.
Yeah, about 87%. We know those numbers.
Or what? But I think the change has been more using a financial advisor.
Okay.
We typically see a lot of people who, if they kind of take a small portion of their nest egg and day trade or do it on their own or whatever. But like for their 401k or their retirement monies or their serious dollars, they're coming to a financial advisor. And I think that's what we're seeing more of nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense too, because now they're back at work, right? Again,
right.
A lot of people were laid off, had free time. Right. I know a lot of people that were day traders during COVID that still have money. They didn't lose it all during that time,
right?
But that, just now life is in the way. And, I was talking to you before we came on. In fact, I was a little surprised. I was talking to our intern here at Quasar Markets, who's in finance at Georgetown here in DC. And he said that, a good portion of his friends that are going into finance are looking more for managed help with their assets and sort of looking to something like Quasar Markets for just, trend insight. They want to be able to come to you. And you've seen that more like, he used, like nuclear as an example. Like now they're looking for trends that maybe they can use to help guide or give advice or give some input more on their looking what they want to do to their advisors.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. The investors that we're talking to, it's not so much now the picking of the individual stock. Or I think you've nailed it. It's more of trends, what sectors, and so on and so forth. So I think that's where people are utilizing, things like Quasar Markets and things like that for that purpose.
That's great. Yeah, it's good to hear that is happening, because sometimes I do get nervous. So much talk on the markets is zero DTE options and the lotto plays that these people are making right now. So it is good to see that. Are you seeing the younger generation come in, and look for this help? Are they adopting, financial advice earlier? I know for me, financial education wasn't something I learned in school. Unfortunately, something that hopefully they're going to start to change curriculums, and they are a little bit. So I wonder, is that changing generationally?
That's a good point, because we talk with a lot of people that, my children, for example, were like, we didn't get that experience in high school, like for example, my generation did. So yeah, I do see a lot more people coming in seeking help. And it's really interesting because of that lack of experience or education, we're now it's just not money management so much, but now it's budgeting. Now
Right.
it's looking at debt and how they can manage their debt and do better at that. So I hate to say that, but because of that lack of education, that's just made our job a lot more broader in scope.
Right, for sure. But that's also, I think, a good thing, because even I would say seasoned investors maybe don't understand what their debt ratios are and how
Right.
much they should be putting aside towards certain aspects, you know, and we all see, right? And I'm sure you're adjusting yearly to the expected lifespans that keep on
Correct.
increasing, as I am very lucky to have an 86-year-old father who's still doing really well. But you know, that wasn't the case for my grandparents and, you know, their parents and things like that.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I do want to bring up, I have your website here so people can see a little bit here. You know, again, all the things that you do for people. What I thought was really interested is how you definitely tailor your advisory services to your clients, because I came right on, the first thing I sort of clicked on was, you know, sort of what do you offer and how much does it cost me? Because those are the things, let's face it, people like. And what I saw is you weren't pushing things down my throat. You know, do you want to meet with me once a year, semi-annually, quarterly? You know, you want to do it in person, virtually, or by phone? So, you know, could you tell me a little bit about sort of the services that you offer, maybe, and how people could reach you, and what, you know, would be the first steps?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that, because one of the things that we take pride on, and we've actually kind of patented this, if you will, is we've got this what's called the granny process, and that granny process, basically, when you come in, we're going to treat you like family, and you know, you go to your granny and you ask her questions, and you trust her, and things like that. And so that's where it all starts.
Awesome.
So we're going to sit down and talk. We're even going to give you a cup of coffee, or we're going to give you a soda and maybe a cookie that granny made.
I have mine right here, my soda.
There you go.
So I'm ready.
To make you feel comfortable. But the whole idea is when we sit down with you, we want to know we're here to help you. We need to know what your goals are, what your objectives are, and then we begin to tell your financial plan to you. It's pretty interesting, because there is no financial plan in our business that is like it. It's not cookie cutter. It's specifically tailored to what you need, what your goals and objectives are.
And that's been a big change. I mean, I remember when my first 401ks came across back in the day, they were actually from AAMS. I think they've sold off that business since.
They did.
But, you know, and I was working for a restaurant chain, Legal Seafoods, and I had a huge choice of 3 options. You know, you can invest money, but here are the 3 ways you can do it. And none of them were run by Peter Lynch at the Magellan Fund like I would have liked.
Yes, exactly. And unfortunately, I mean, 401ks are great. I mean, I'm glad that we still have that issue. We still have that very limited options out there. And then they thought they would be smart and offer lifestyle funds and things like that, which is great. I'm glad they offer them. But there's nothing like being able to do self-directed and have many options to choose from. And
I'm a huge fan of self-directed. That was going to be my next question. So luckily the answer is yes. I was going to ask if you had those options.
Yes.
You know, and what's interesting there is we have one of our best educators here at Quasar Markets, Dr. Alan Ellman, for 40 years has been using covered calls within 401k self-directed to earn income on his holdings, his long-term holdings.
Sure.
So, you know, that was something I was really interested in, and maybe we'll get you two together to talk a little bit more about that as a partnership, because, you know, that's the whole focus that he does. You know, and I know it's something I'm starting to do even, you know, and it's interesting to say you can do it. I knew you could do it with crypto on self-directed using some companies. But what's really great now that I like is I don't have to do that. I can use IBIT, the ETFs for Bitcoin, and I can do the same exact thing, have that exposure, but let BlackRock do the custody and not have to worry about it being stolen and my keys being stolen. Are you seeing any of your clients moving into those areas and trying these more sort of next level, I would call it, use of 401ks?
We are our neck of the woods. We're in Southern Illinois. As a matter of fact, if you look at the background screen, that's actually the Shawnee National Forest. That's kind of what our backyard looks like. So we're in a small community. The area that we service is it's not just a small city. It's counties.
Right.
And so we're kind of insulated from the new and latest trends that are out there. But I will tell you that, yes, I am seeing clients now come in asking about crypto, asking about Bitcoin.
Well, I would assume with the new administration, let's face it,
Exactly.
all these I now live outside of Dayton in Ohio, and I'm in farm country myself. So, very similar. And I see it, people, when I first moved here 2 years ago, no one talked to me about crypto. Now everybody at the, if they know who I am, has a question for me.
Right. My only fear about that is people are wanting to invest in it because of what they've heard and what has
your own resource. Right.
And trying to curb that expectation can be difficult when you get something that's like that.
Absolutely. I'm not pushing that my crypto ideas or motifs on anyone, but I was just more using it as an example to show people. I don't think people realize how much you can do with a self-directed IRA. Exactly. And it's not the world of here are your three choices. And Howard, would take, you can use your 7% of your income and do this. You can get really inventive with what you're able to do. Like I said, you can do things so you can earn income on it, and that you can get diversification. Though, again, I tell it to everybody. People get mad at me because I am from the world of crypto and Bitcoin maxi. But even I tell people no one should have more than 10% of their, net worth in Bitcoin. It's too risky still. It's too early. There's too many factors. Right. And in my opinion, you should have gold, and you should have stocks, and you should have real estate, hopefully. And, again, we want to have a bucket of things that keep us insulated for there. So I do think that's important. And that's what I love about, again, having the ability to do self-directed IRAs. I think it's really going to be bigger in the future as this younger generation that's more in tune to technology, and they can do this stuff right off an app, and they can go and boom, boom, boom. And they don't have to call like the old days, right? Their broker, the one thing that we definitely see is the adoption of technology across, this area of investing, whether it be 401k all the way through to the most risky of crypto trader. I know you guys had, and at Ameriprise, you guys really have been leaders in integrating all of these systems together and having yourselves, sort of a leg up on the competition with what you guys have as a sort of service, right?
We do, yeah. That was one of the reasons why I didn't start with Ameriprise. I've been with Ameriprise for about 3 years. And that was one of the reasons that we moved our practice over to Ameriprise platform. We're on the independent side. So we use Ameriprise and their platform, and it's because of the technology and the back office service support that they do, and it's second.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because you say you just said that you're in a smaller town in Southern Illinois, and it is interesting to see, though, the people like yourselves that are adopting and realizing that this technology is the wave of the future. Even the farmers want it. It doesn't matter, because there are so many other bigger corporations that I see getting passed by because they're not accepting financial innovation, and that I want to be able to use, banking off of my phone.
Right.
Again, I just said to my 86-year-old father uses his phone for everything now. I still am amazed by it.
Kudos to him.
Yeah, he really does. He is. If he can't have an app, if it doesn't work, he doesn't want part of it anymore. He's definitely early adopter.
That is definitely one of the things that we embrace is technology and change. We're not afraid of that. We're very open to that because, there's some hiccups along the way if you embrace change, but in the long run, it actually makes your life and everybody else's life much more efficient and easier.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to monopolize too much of your time. We just wanted to get in and whet our viewer's whistle, so to speak, here, because I already have 2 or 3 subjects. I have some follow-ups here, because I do think it would be great to get you and Dr. Ellman together to discuss sort of how his, at Ameriprise and with your practice, how you guys could have people doing what he does with his strategy. And then I also just want to have a more talk about, the advantages of using some of these techniques for our younger viewers, people who are just learning about financial literacy, and, explaining to them, the first couple of things they should do as they are making that step out of maybe college or high school and now,
Sure.
moving forward. I think it's so important if we could advise people on stuff like that.
Yep. I think that would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Michael. We appreciate it so much for being part of the Quasar Markets team here.
Thank you for having me.